So today I'm going to be explaining to you what you're going to be doing for your next assignment in understanding life in the ocean. This project is called Recreating Bikini Bottom. Yesterday you had a homework assignment where you took 3 characters of your choice and you identified some errors that occurred in Bikini Bottom or on SpongeBob's cartoon, and then you corrected those errors. You're now going to take it one step further and you're going to recreate Bikini Bottom. Now let's follow through all of your instructions so you know exactly what you're doing, because I'm noticing that whenever you have an assignment that has multiple steps, take the one on the top. It has multiple steps, you are skipping things and you're losing lots of points because you're just skipping right through things. So you need a separate sheet of paper out so you can jot down some notes to kind of remind you, don't forget this, make sure I do this, make sure I follow these steps. So the instructions are as this. Follow with me as I read it to you. Use your knowledge of the ocean floor, the zones of the ocean. So when we talk about the ocean floor, we're talking about the features of the ocean floor. We're talking about the zones. That comes from your notes. The marine life that we talked about in your notes as well. And we jotted down examples of different marine lives in each zone and why they live there and where those zones are and what they look like. You're going to recreate Bikini Bottom to be correct according to marine biology. Marine biology is what? The study of what? Biology is what? The study of what? Life. So we're looking at the study of life in what? In water. All right, looking at part A. You need to make sure you have the parts of the continental margin and labeled. I am not going to go over with you what the parts of the continental margin are. You need to look at your notes, but you need to have those parts. Part B, and it tells you how many points for each portion. Part B says you need to have at least 3 features of the deep ocean basin. If you do not remember what the deep ocean basin is, then you need to look at your notes so you know what features belong to the deep ocean basin. For 4 total points, you need to have the 4 zones of the ocean and labeled and portrayed correctly. So make sure you have them there and they're in the right areas, correctly portrayed. Remember, certain areas have certain things. Certain areas are a certain way or look a certain way. Everyone with me? I don't exactly know how to spell it. If you know how to spell it the correct way, then spell it the correct way. But you know who I'm talking about, right? Good. All right. Section D. These are the main characters that I want you to include in Bikini Bottom in their correct zones. SpongeBob, Mr. Krabs, Patrick, Squidward, Sandy, and Pearl. Make sure, Jatan, I already went over the fact that if you know how to spell it correctly, spell it the correct way. Do you know who I'm talking about? All right then. Spend more time following directions and less time trying to correct a teacher. You have now been debuted on the video. Congratulations. All right, make sure you include each one of those, and they have to be in their correct zones. So don't just put them in there. They need to be in their correct zones. And that's 2 points each. Jaden. Moving on. Part E. You need to include 1 more made-up character and put it in the correct zone. So these are not characters from Bikini Bottom. Now, you need to have 1 more character that you created, but they have to be a marine life, obviously. That character, you need to have a character for the intertidal zone, a character for the neritic zone, a character for the oceanic zone, and a character for the benthic zone. And you need to put them in their correct zone. So you'll come up with another marine character. Any questions so far? Okay. Part F. You need to include a terrestrial-aquatic relationship. Use your notes because we talked about what that was also. And then the last portion, your time, your quality, and your colorfulness. This needs to show that you spent some time on it. You actually focused on what it was that you were doing so that you can get that extra 5 points. The important portions at the bottom. If your drawing or cartoon characters are not clear, this is, for instance, if you are, whether you're doing it on the computer or you're drawing it, I need you to label it because I need to know what that character is. If you do not have access to the internet at home, you must draw your cartoon on the back page. So we will be working on this until Friday. At the end of class Friday, it is due. If in any event when you go home or you're not here and you're working on it, you don't have internet access at home to work on it at home, and you feel like you're not going to get done by Friday, then the only alternative is for you to draw it. So there's no reason why this should not be turned in on Friday at the end of class. Everyone must turn in a rubric. That's this paper here. This is your rubric. If you do not have internet access, your drawing is going to go on the back of this rubric. Also, I encourage you to do a sketch on the back, kind of give you a guide of what you're doing, and then that way you can transpose it right to the internet, or you already have something set if you're not working on the internet. If you turn in this rubric, which you should, so that I can put your grade on there, you receive an extra 5 points bonus. If you do not turn in this rubric and I have to provide you with one, then I take 5 points off. Any questions about that? Okay, the total points for this is 50 points. That means however many points you get out of 50 is your final grade. And this is a long project, so it's kind of like a test, because it's testing you on everything from the ocean floor all the way up to ocean life. So this is going to count 3 times, so you really need to take your time on it. We'll be spending all day in class today, tomorrow, and Friday for you to do the assignment. Moving on to another explanation. We'll be using Bitstrips in class to complete the assignment. You may do a Bitstrips cartoon where it's a full panel, where you can add everything into the panel. So you do a full scenery of Bikini Bottom, adding everything you need. Maybe you might feel like that's not enough for you and you want to break it up into different scenes. Then you can do 3 and a couple more panels. 3 is not the maximum. As many panels as you feel you may need to break up each portion of your scene. However you decide to do it, you can be creative. No, you would have to go online and download those, just like we did in the last project. So with that being said, you're going to use Bitstrips. When you log into Bitstrips, I need everyone to pay attention because a lot of you are starting your own cartoon, and that's not the way it works. When you log in, you will see your avatar here, correct? Underneath your avatar, right underneath, you're going to see it says 1 activity. That activity is the title of your project. It says Recreate Bikini Bottom. You will click on that activity. And when you do, you will see the same instructions that I just went over with you on your rubric. So if you don't have your rubric in front of you while you're working, those instructions are always there for you in front of your rubric. If you forget your class code, you can always come see me, or if you forgot your password, you can always see me for your password as well. Are there any questions about that? All right, one note I want to write down to you. At the bottom of your rubric, I want you to put the due date. So right down here, I want you to write the due date. It is due. Why aren't you writing the due date? Friday, September 17th at the end of class. I'm sorry, 19th, I apologize. Friday, September 19th. When you get started on your cartoon, for instance, when you're making a comic, in the area up here where it says title of strip, I want you all to remember this because 90 of you will not do it. So write this down somewhere to remind you. The title of your strip is going to be the title of this project. So circle the title on your rubric. What is the title? Recreate Bikini Bottom. You need to put that there. If it does not fit that entire thing, just name it Bikini Bottom. That's totally fine. Any questions on what it is that we're doing? No. Okay, then this concludes my explanation. Go ahead and take out your Chromebooks.